A girl takes off her clothes, ready to step into the shower. She's completely alone in the bathroom, or so she thinks. Out of nowhere, a man's feet appear right behind her. The rush of the water drowns out every other sound, so she has no idea he's there. And right now, she has no clue the sheer terror and despair that's waiting for her. One day earlier, Mila headed to the second floor bathrooms, only to find a long line already waiting. She tried to cut the line with a silly little trick, but a kind classmate nearby stopped her and said, "If you don't want to wait in line, you can go to the fourth floor. The water's piping hot, and there's never a line there." If the fourth floor was really that great, why was everyone willingly waiting here? She didn't think twice about it, and headed straight for the elevator to the fourth floor. 1 second, she could clearly see someone inside the elevator. The next, they'd vanished without a trace. Even so, she didn't feel the slightest bit alarmed. If she'd had even a shred of caution, none of the horror that followed would have ever happened. She casually pressed the button for the fourth floor, then looked down and started scrolling on her phone. When the elevator started moving, it skipped the fourth floor entirely, heading straight for the closed-off fifth floor. And without even checking what floor she was on, she stepped right out. She quickly realized she was in the wrong place, but just as she turned to leave, the sound of running water hit her ears. She followed the sound down the hall, and right in front of her was a row of private shower stalls. For anyone else, this would have been a massive red flag, but Mila didn't question it at all. She even smiled to herself. While all the other students were stuck waiting in that silly line on the second floor, she had this entire bathroom all to herself. The running water was coming from one of the stalls. She pulled the curtain open to check, and thought her luck couldn't get better. The water was already warmed up and ready to go. She didn't hesitate for a second. She took off her clothes, ready to step in and shower. She kept her eyes closed while washing her hair, completely unaware that a man had appeared right behind her. Suddenly, Mila's body jolted. Flashbacks flooded her mind, vivid scenes of a boy being brutally bullied. If you're paying attention, you've probably figured out what's going on by now. But Mila was completely in the dark. She told her best friend about showering on the fifth floor, but her friend didn't believe a word of it the second she heard fifth floor. That space used to be the boys' bathroom, and it had been locked up by the school a full year prior. On top of that, the elevator wasn't even supposed to be able to reach the fifth floor. Still, her friend warned her to be careful. There was a reason that bathroom was closed. Rumors said a boy had vanished there without a trace, and his disappearance was directly linked to the fifth floor bathrooms. What was meant to be a warning only fueled Mila's curiosity even more. So she made up her mind to go back to the fifth floor. But as she got ready to wash up, her ring accidentally slipped down the drain. She reached in to grab it, and pulled out not just her ring, but also a broken item that had belonged to Nick. You think this is just a coincidence? The very next second, Mila's body shook violently once again. Those same visions of the boy being bullied flooded her mind, more vivid than ever, and he looked utterly hopeless. Just a few seconds later, Mila snapped back to reality, but a coppery, bloody taste filled her mouth. She spat it out, and found a sharp shard of glass. This shard was the missing piece from Nick's broken item. That's when the fear finally set in for Mila. When you encounter something you can't explain with logic, the smartest thing to do is run. She raced back to her dorm, and the more she replayed what had happened in her head, the more terrified she became. So she got online to look up information about the fifth floor boys' bathroom, and what she found made her blood run cold. In a group photo of a group of boys, she spotted a familiar face. It was the exact boy from her visions, the one who'd vanished without a trace a year earlier. Mila realized this was no coincidence, but just as she was lost in her thoughts, a man's voice suddenly whispered in her ear.
Who is this?
You know who this is. You saw what they did to me. He will do it to you too, Mara. We need to end this. You know what you must do.
By this point, Mila had been possessed by the boy's spirit. And his goal was clear. He was going to use Mila's body to get revenge on the people who'd killed him. Mila was no longer herself, she was a puppet for revenge, completely under the boy's control. First, he secretly spread flyers around the school, using photos to expose the truth, telling everyone that John was the killer. John was terrified, but since he was the principal's son, none of the other students dared to do anything about it. When the anonymous reports did nothing, he decided to use Mila's body to lure John in. Mila had always been terrible at sports, but the ghost possessing her had been a star athlete. So right in front of her entire class, she shattered the school's long jump record. And just as he'd planned, it caught the eye of John, who was also a varsity athlete.
Looks like you and I are gonna have a problem.
Huh?
It was my girlfriend's old record you shattered.
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't even know that you went here. If I knew it.
Look, don't sweat it. We broke up when I graduated. Coach wasn't kidding when he said he had some impressive new talent this year.
Once she had John hooked, she doubled down. One night, she showed up to a party with a full face of makeup, and with just a few words, she had John completely wrapped around her finger. As the principal's son, he was used to girls throwing themselves at him, so he didn't think twice about Mila's advances. He happily followed her into the elevator, and their destination was the 5th floor boys' bathroom. John was still smug as can be, looking forward to what he thought would be a fun hookup, but before he could even take his pants off,
Tell me that you want me.
I want you.
Tell me that you're sorry.
What?
a flood of memories came rushing back to him. Years earlier, he and a group of other boys had bullied Nick while he was showering. They'd locked him inside the stall, cranked the hot water up to its maximum, and tortured Nick to death right there. After the murder, John's father, the principal, had covered up the entire incident, ordering the 5th floor to be sealed off forever. But Nick's restless spirit never left. He'd been searching for someone to possess all that time, and when curious Mila showed up, he finally got his chance. In the end, he killed John, finally getting his long-awaited revenge. When it was all over, Mila was left in a state of pure terror, with no memory of what had just happened. But one thing was for certain, Nick's ghost wasn't gone. He'd be looking for his next target, because John wasn't the only one responsible for his death all those years ago.